to get started, folks.
Washington's 106.7 WJFK. Here starts Ron and Fez.
Okay, good. You're in for that, right?
Ron and Fez.
Hey, we got a bad guest coming up next.
I love a bad guest.
Maybe you can buy them a trip.
I am not giving the bad guest a trip. Who do we have, Rory?
We have Lawrence Gordon. He has been living...
The fisherman?
Now, Lawrence Gordon, he was Lucy's boss.
Oh! He's Gail Gordon. He's been living in a haunted house for 18 years.
What?
And he's been able to communicate with three ghosts who live in the house. One who's Roger, who's a friendly teenager.
I thought that was Casper.
Another one, Mr. Willis, who's an older man who doesn't really speak much, but is dressed in all black all the time.
Sure.
And then Sarah, an 8-year-old from 1918, and she's somehow trapped in the house. And he believes that these people are trying to teach him about the supernatural and everything.
Has he written a book, or what's he pushing?
He's written 2 books. First book was User Friendly, The Ghost Chronicles Volume 1, and the second book, Haunted High, The Ghost Chronicles Volume 2.
That sounds like a Nancy Drew thing.
And he's working on a third right now.
Go ahead, what were you saying?
He's also working on a third book, Living with the Dead, How to Survive Life in a Haunted House.
All right, well, we'll come back and talk with him, and I'll let all the characters call in. Fezzy, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, I do believe in ghosts. I do believe in ghosts.
Have you ever seen one?
No. I've never seen an actual ghost. I've felt something before, but I've never seen one.
So what makes you believe?
I believe they exist. I believe that spirits exist, and that some of them still hang out on the planet Earth.
You think they're just lost, or they should be here? Or?
I think they're probably here for a reason. I don't know if anyone gets trapped. I've heard a lot about that. They get stuck on Earth. But I think if there's a spirit here, they're here for a reason.
Well, we got a gentleman who claims he's lived with spirits.
He's Lawrence Gordon. He lives in a haunted house, according to Lawrence, in Panama City, Florida. Been living there for 18 years, and he's actually talked to 3 different ghosts that live in that house.
Well, we got Gordon on the line right now. Gordon, welcome to Ron and Fez. How are you, sir?
Hey, Lawrence.
Hello. How are you tonight?
Good, buddy. Lawrence, you've been in the haunted house for 18 years?
We moved into this house in the middle of December 1985. Yep, last count, we've been here about 18 years now.
And when did you first realize that it was haunted?
About 2 weeks after we moved in. When my wife and I moved into this house, it was like the Brady Bunch. We had both had previous marriages, and so when we moved in, we had 4 kids between us. I had 2, she had 2. And we moved in on or about December the 15th of 1985. And about 2 weeks after we first moved in, we had an event happen that took place on January 1st or thereabouts. It was January 1st or 2nd, as well as I remember, of 1986. And that event sort of set the tone for the things that were yet to come in this house. What we basically had happen that day was a search for a toy that one of the kids had lost that he'd gotten for Christmas. Made us realize rather quickly that we had something going on here that we never really fully understood at that time. What happened was this young son, Adam, who was 4 years of age at the time, had misplaced a slingshot that he'd gotten. And we searched his room from one end to the other, could not find that slingshot. We vacated the room, my wife, myself, the 2 kids, 2 of the 4 kids. And we were going to go into another section of the house to look a little further, and we got about 10 feet away from the door to the bedroom. The door slammed shut behind us. Something thudded up against the back side of the door, at which moment we all stopped right in our tracks, as they say, and in unison sort of glanced over our collective shoulders to see what exactly was going on. The door opened back up by itself, and lying in the middle of the floor was the slingshot. It's like something said, "We had your slingshot, we're going to give it back to you, and by the way, you're not alone." And that sort of set us back a step and led to about an 18-year study of paranormal activity, ghosts, spirits, things that go bump in the night, and came to the ultimate conclusion that in this home, in this house, on the shore of the sleepy little bayou here in northwest Florida, we have 3 ghosts that coexist with us.
Now, have you ever figured out who they were during their living life?
Yes.
And they all lived in the house at one time or another?
No, they actually, the actual course of events evolved in the following manner. The house was built in 1952. Research on the house has shown that the land this house sits on was pretty much vacant prior to that, with one exception. I have been told by a number of elderly neighbors in this area that there may have been a pre-existing structure here, some sort of a tool shed or a small wooden structure, maybe a little cabin or whatever. But we are in an area of northwest Florida that was at one time frequented by a number of Native American or, quote, Indian tribes who came south during the winter to migrate down here to get away from colder weather up in North Georgia and North Alabama. And so this area was an area that had a lot of Indians, Native Americans, who would come down here over the years.
Are these Indian ghosts in your house?
Well, the point I'm making is that this property was vacant. There may have been a structure on here prior to building this house. And the three ghosts that we have here began really in 1918 with a young girl named Sarah, who we believe died on this property in about 1918 to 1920. She may have been, from what we can understand, about 7, maybe 8 years of age. We think she played on this property that is, as a child. And we think what happened to her was that she passed away because of an epidemic of yellow fever that we know swept through this area at that time. Took hundreds of lives. We think she was one of them.
Now, how do you identify her and realize she's from this time period?
We have had about 8 or 10 psychic mediums, not largest and not small, but mediums, who have visited our home over the years. And because of the number of interviews I've done, people have wanted to see the house, come tour it. And so we've had a number of psychic mediums who've come here, who've taken a tour, if you will, of the property, and who have then sat down and told us their impressions on the property and what goes on here, which directly correspond in many cases with things we've actually seen and experiences we've actually had. Secondarily, we have used a Ouija board on a number of occasions. Again, I have studied paranormal activity, tarot cards, psychics of all kinds, met a number of psychics over the years, and Ouija boards and things to get a better understanding of the parallel world that I think now exists right alongside ours. And through the use of the Ouija board and during a number of seances, we have had literally direct communication with one of the three ghosts, one we call Roger.
All right, now what's Roger's story?
Roger is the ghost of a young guy who was about 17 years of age at the time. He drowned in the water behind our home. We live on a piece of waterfront property on a bayou called Masalina Bayou, which is in downtown Panama City, Florida. Spring break, capital of the world, by the way. And the bottom line is Roger, we think, died here in about 1939. We think he was drowned by a coworker in the water behind our house.
Now, is there any historical stuff to back this up, Lawrence?
What we have had happen is that in the conversations we've had with Roger, we have documented the things he has told us. I have subsequently been able to further historically prove a lot of the things he's told us were true events that actually happened here that I had no knowledge of because I didn't live here then. I wasn't even born then. Had no interest in it whatsoever. But there are things that he's told us that we've checked and verified in our local library, through the local historical society, books, documents on the area that I've dug through, old newspaper clippings dating as far back as the early 1920s.
All right, so folks want to ask you some questions. It's 866-277-4969. We're talking with Lawrence Gordon. He actually lives with 3 different ghosts, Fuzz.
He's been living with them for 18 years now in a haunted house in Northwest Florida.
Nino, you're on with Lawrence. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Lawrence. This is Nino calling. I wanted to hear a little bit more about Roger. He sounds delicious. I think a 17-year-old boy drowned by his lover is just fascinating. What more do you know about him?
Well, if I may recap that for just a moment.
You live in Vaselina, Florida?
Masalina Bayou.
Vaselina?
And it's called Massalina.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's quite all right. We think Roger was drowned by a co-worker.
Oh, that is a lover's quarrel, you're saying?
No, a co-worker.
Co-worker, Nino.
Yeah, at a fish house, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah, really. And we think he was drowned by a co-worker in roughly 1939.
Wow. You think he was drowned roughly, you're saying? Because I'll tell you, I've had an experience similar to that.
All right, Nino, I don't know where you're going with this.
I understand exactly what you're saying. So we think the year was roughly 1939.
Excuse me, Lawrence. I'm sorry. What did you imply I was saying?
It doesn't matter, Nino.
No, I'm sorry, Lawrence. I don't think that you should be speaking to me in a condescending way.
I think you're exactly right.
Excuse me, Lawrence, I'm going to have to politely ask you to say goodbye, Lawrence. I don't think you're going to talk to me like this.
All right, Nino, he's our guest, not you. Thank you very much.
Say goodbye to you, Nino.
No, Lawrence, I am not going to sit here and be berated like this.
All right, shut up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Lawrence, don't. Sometimes you get calls like that.
Okay.
Excuse me.
866-277-4969. 866-277-4969.
That's the toll-free phone number if you'd like to speak with Lawrence Gordon, who lives in an actual haunted house. And, Lawrence, you've written books about this?
Yes, I have 2 books that are in print. They're young adult ghost stories. They are basically modeled after some of the events we've had go on here. I've got a 3rd book that I'm, if you know a good publisher that would like to publish a real-life story, it's called Living with the Dead, How to Survive Life in a Haunted House.
Okay, now, are these actual accounts of what goes on in your house, or are they like Goosebumps books?
They're like Goosebumps books. Although they're written on a slightly elevated level of beyond a 6th grade level or an 8th grade level. They're targeted at mid-teens and so forth, and again, they're young adult. They're fictionalized stories, but they're sort of based loosely on what we've had happen here.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so it's user-friendly, the Ghost Chronicles Volume 1.
Right.
And Haunted High, the Ghost Chronicles Volume 2, and those are available at Amazon.com.
Right, and I would, if I may, I'd encourage your listeners, if they have an opportunity, want to know more, check me out on the internet at lawrencegordon.com.
Okay, we have some more calls for you. I believe we have Iris standing by on the Ron and Fez show.
Hello.
Hello, this is Iris calling.
Hi, Iris. You're on with Lawrence Gordon.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful show tonight.
Thank you. We appreciate that. You have a question
Really
for Lawrence?
enjoyed. I'm enjoying the show, and I think it's about time shows like this have been done.
You mean shows about haunted houses?
No, just basic talk shows or call-in shows for people.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to have. Talk shows have been around for a while, but we're glad you're calling in tonight, Iris.
It's really good.
And Iris, you need to, Iris, if I might suggest you lay off the cigarettes there a little bit, babe, it might help you out.
What's that?
Nothing.
I think he said you smoke too much, Iris.
That's funny how. That's funny how, Gordon.
Oh, you're quite right.
What?
It's Lawrence.
Lawrence.
I'm not the fag from the last call.
I know that. Your voice changed.
Very odd show that really puts people down now.
We're talking about things that bump in the night.
Your mother bumps in the night. That's what I'm saying about this whole damn thing. And it's really not fair.
All right, now, Iris, you've gotten your feelings hurt tonight, haven't you?
I've gotten my feelings hurt tonight.
You just wanted to call in and talk to Lawrence, and now everything's gone horrible.
Right. Are you proud of yourself?
Well, to be frank, yes.
Yes. Well, let's just hope you never have health problems.
I know, I'm sorry.
And let's hope that you never end up losing all your loved ones.
Must be tragic. Tell us all about it, Iris.
What?
How many husbands have you had, Iris?
Now, all of a sudden, Lawrence Gordon is interviewing Iris.
The doctor is in.
What the hell kind of a show is this?
I don't know why this went so bad, Iris.
I was just about to ask my question, and my health was attacked, and now he's bringing up my dead husband.
I know, right from the get. I don't understand. We wanted Lawrence to talk about his haunted house.
See, they could be haunting Iris. There are ghosts from the past.
And this is a mockery now.
Iris,
It's total mockery.
Did you still want to ask your question, Iris?
Not at all. And as a matter of fact, I'll no longer listen to this radio station.
All right, well, we don't want to lose a listener over this.
Iris.
I'd like to have an apology.
Lawrence, would you mind apologizing sincerely to Iris?
I humbly apologize.
Is that good enough, Iris?
Please accept my apology.
Hitler apologized too. And where did that get us?
He did?
That got us nowhere fast.
No, Saddam Hussein did not apologize.
Oh, now that's your new joke, Gordy. This is shock radio.
Well, we didn't intend for it to be a shock jock show. Shock radio.
Shock jock show. Why don't you go bone in a church? That's comedy now. In 1999, that's comedy.
No, it's 2003, Iris.
I have an old calendar.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt.
I just wanted to say I'm enjoying the show.
Well, thank you.
And who's that?
That's Lawrence Gordon. He lives in a haunted house.
Do those short memory spans, you don't remember, Iris? Is it
the man who lived with the 3 goats.
Is it medication? What kind of medication are you on tonight, Iris?
I think it's ghosts.
Oh, sorry.
Who made him the funny one? I'm going to hang up now.
I have no idea.
I'll let you finish, and now listen to the answer.
Night, Iris.
Thank you for the call, Iris, and I'm really sorry that happened.
Iris sounds like a lovely lady.
Your mom's ass.
I'm sorry, never mind.
I honestly don't think that can go out.
All right. Next. Who's the next caller? Do you have another caller standing by?
I don't know if we could have Lawrence on if he's using that kind of language.
No, it would have been nice to promote the website and the books, but if we're going to use things that are going to get us dumped.
How would you like to hear 10 ways to tell if you live in a haunted house?
No, thank you.
Okay.
It's just not that interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. And we don't talk that way to older people, okay, Lawrence?
Oh, I'm sorry. Give her my...
They could be ghosts someday.
And then he writes children's books.
Yeah. I think the title is what he said to Iris.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, Fezzi, that was Lawrence Gordon. He works blue.
He works really blue. He says he's living with 3 ghosts. Apparently humans can't stand to be with him.
He actually said to an old lady, "Give me a whirl."
Right.
That's what he basically said.
And
he might have been my favorite ghost. He might have been my favorite guest ever.
He's a ghost guest. Wow.
He was great. Why was he doing this voice, too?
He was doing his radio interview voice.
Hi. And then what does he write, children's books?
Yeah, he writes Goosebumps books, basically. He doesn't write the Goosebumps book, but he's ripping them off.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. It's not even about the fake ghosts in his house. It's just scary stories.
I like him.
You like Lawrence Gordon?
Hey, do me, lady.
You might know me from such ghost stories as Skull with an old lady.
I told her to do me. That's what he's saying to his wife right now. I told her to do me. Go back to Nino.
Is Nino still on?
Hey, Nino?
Yeah, I don't understand where
not so over the top anymore.
Over the top of what, Ron?
Your character. No, your character. The first night you did it, it was like dead on. Then the next, and tonight it's like, oh, that's delicious, and you're like the guy doing the gay voice.
Subtleties, Nino.
Yeah.
Subtlety it is.
Howard Stern, Don and Mike, Bill O'Reilly, Ron and Fez and the Washington Redskins, 106.7 WJFK.